6 is we have x to the fourth minus x to the third plus x squared minus 3x minus 6. So first thing we want to know with 6 are what are my possible zeros. So the only number I really have to worry about is that negative 6. So what are my factors of negative 6? Plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, and plus or minus 6. So those are my options. Now you can try every single one. What I would suggest with this is going to either your graphing calculator or Desmos, some way that you can graph this. So then we can look at our possible options with this. So x to the fourth minus x to the third plus x squared minus 3x minus 6. That good? That's good. So then whenever we graph it, so we had 1 plus or minus 1, 2, 3, and 6. So then looking at it, what values do I want to try? What values does it look like out of my options of plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, and plus or minus 6? What does that one look like? Negative 1. What does this one look like? Positive 2. Okay, so those are the two values whenever I'm doing this that I want to try. So then if I go back to here, as far as values to try, we're going to try negative 1 and positive 2. So if I have everything over here, and I'm just going to use this space here, I'm going to have a positive 1, a negative 1, a positive 1, a negative 3, and a negative 6. So it doesn't matter to me which one you try first. I'm just going to go with the negative 1, drop it, multiply, so I get negative 1 gives me negative 2, multiply gives me a positive 2, add straight down gives me a positive 3, multiply there gives me a negative 3, straight down gives me a negative 6, and then negative 1 and negative 6 gives me a positive 6, which gives me a 0, which is what I want. So everything's good with the negative 1. That's one of my zeros. Now do everything again, but now what number do I want to use? The 2. Okay, so we're going to use a positive 2. We're going to drop the 1. 2 and 1 is a positive 2. That zeros. 2 and 0 is 0. 3 straight down. Negative or positive 2 and positive 3 is a positive 6. Straight down zeros everything out. Now, remembering what we had for our picture, okay, there were no other values that we could try because nothing doubled up. So then what I have here is I still need to find all zeros. Okay, so I found 2 of them. I need to find the other 2. So remember, if here's my remainder, there's my constant, that's x, and this is x squared. So then I have x squared plus 3 equal to 0. I can either do one of two things. I can always use the quadratic formula, but in this case, which way is going to be easier? To do what? to use quadratic formula, or I know I can't factor it. I don't really want to complete the square because I don't have a b. What's the other option? Just to solve it, right? So if I just solve this, how am I going to get the 3 by itself, or the x squared by itself? Let's put it that way. Subtract 3. So I'm going to have x to the second equals negative 3. Now what do I do to get rid of the squared? Square root. So I have x equals plus or minus. What am I going to do with that negative? Bring out an I. Is 3 a perfect square, or can I factor out a perfect square? No, so I'm just going to leave that 3 inside the radical, and there are 2 of my values. There's 1, and there's 1. How many answers should I have? 4. Okay, do I have 4 answers? Yeah, I have negative 1, I have positive 2, and I have plus or minus I times the square root of 3. Like we talked about on Friday, you can always get these down to at least a quadratic. Okay, every time. You will always have enough to get it down to a quadratic to go from there, whether it starts at a 4th power, a 5th power, whatever.